You better check your pocket change right now, because these old coins could be a hidden treasure worth serious money, and people are accidentally spending them every single day. Welcome back to Lucky Penny Finds, and today we're exposing the top 3 most valuable ultra-rare Washington $quarter coins hiding in plain sight. Do not spend these coins because some tiny detail changes everything, and secret collectors are fighting hard to get them. These coins are silent fortunes, real hidden wealth, and the next coin gets even rarer, more shocking, and more dangerous to ignore, so stay till the end, because you might already be holding a life-changing opportunity without even knowing it. First coin number 1. The 1934 Washington quarter without a mint mark is one of those dirty old coins people ignore every day, and that is exactly why this hidden treasure keeps slipping through people's hands unnoticed. At first glance, it looks ordinary. Worn silver color, old date, soft gray waves flowing across the surface from decades of circulation. But the second experienced collectors see this coin in original fine condition with that untouched antique look, everything changes. The room goes quiet. Bidding starts slowly. Then, suddenly, collectors begin fighting over it because they know this coin is not just old money. This is hidden wealth. This is the kind of rare U.S. coin that quietly sits in jars, drawers, old purses, estate boxes, and forgotten family collections while people unknowingly spend a silent fortune on coffee, gas, or groceries. Do not spend this coin. Back in 1934, America was still trapped inside the crushing pressure of the Great Depression. Families were struggling to survive, banks had failed, jobs disappeared, and people held on to every coin they could find. That emotional moment in American history is part of what makes this Washington quarter feel so powerful today. Coins from this era were not treated like collectibles. They were survival money, real working money passing through rough hands during one of the hardest economic periods the United States had ever seen. That stress created a different kind of coin history collectors obsess over now. Many of these quarters were heavily used, damaged, cleaned, or melted over time, which is exactly why surviving examples with beautiful original surfaces are becoming harder and harder to find. This was also an important transition period for American coinage because the Washington quarter design was still relatively new at the time. The front of the coin carried the strong portrait of George Washington facing left, with a calm but commanding appearance that symbolized stability during uncertain times. Even today, collectors stare closely at the sharpness of Washington's hair details, the cheek lines, and the worn texture around the jaw, because every tiny detail tells the story of how the coin survived through history. On the back, the eagle design gives this coin a powerful presence. The wings stretch wide with strength, gripping arrows and olive branches like America itself was refusing to collapse during those difficult years. In fine condition, that eagle still shows enough detail to make collectors stop and stare. And here is where things become dangerous to ignore. This coin has no mint mark. That missing little letter is exactly what makes people accidentally overlook it. Most people think a missing mint mark means damage or weakness, but collectors know the truth. A 1934 Washington quarter struck without a mint mark means it came from Philadelphia, and certain Philadelphia examples from this era developed stunning, original silver-gray surfaces that collectors absolutely crave. That soft, wave-like toning spreading across the coin naturally over decades is something artificial cleaning can never recreate. This detail changes everything. The moment somebody cleans one of these coins, the hidden treasure can collapse instantly. A harshly cleaned quarter loses its natural personality, and collectors notice immediately. The original toning matters more than people realize. Those silver-gray waves, that antique texture, those untouched surfaces are proof the coin survived honestly through time. Once that originality disappears, so does much of the magic. That is why professional grading is critical. Serious buyers want authentication, surface analysis, originality confirmation, and condition protection before spending serious money on a rare coin like this. When you hold a real 1934 Washington quarter in your hand, it feels different from modern pocket change. The coin carries that cold silver weight collectors love. Roughly 6.25 grams of 90% silver and 10% copper, with a diameter around 24.3 millimeters and a thickness close to 1.75 millimeters, this quarter has a solid historic presence. Modern clad coins simply do not have any more. You can literally feel the age in the metal. The edges carry decades of history. The worn silver glow feels alive under light. And when the surface still shows those beautiful natural gray waves in fine condition, collectors become obsessed. What makes survival even rarer is how many of these quarters disappeared forever. During different periods of rising silver prices, countless old Washington quarters were melted down for bullion value. Others were cleaned by people trying to improve them without realizing they were destroying collector demand. Some were damaged in circulation for decades until almost no details remained. That is why strong original examples now trigger intense auction behavior. Quiet collectors suddenly become aggressive bidders because they know supply keeps shrinking while demand keeps climbing. And this is not fiction. Some collectors spend years hunting for the right 1934 quarter with original surfaces and strong eye appeal. They are not looking for shiny coins. They want honest survival. They want that untouched silver-gray look that tells a story. They want originality. They want the exact kind of coin ordinary people accidentally spend every day without a second thought. That is what creates silent fortunes in the rare coin market. One tiny detail collectors obsess over is the smoothness and flow of the toning near Washington's portrait and around the eagle on the reverse. If the color transitions naturally and the wear remains even, the coin becomes dramatically more desirable. Experienced buyers also study the rims carefully, checking for honest circulation instead of damage. Even the way the light reflects across the surface can completely change collector interest. Stay till the end, because this hidden detail is exactly why some ordinary-looking quarters explode in value, while others remain ignored forever. Today, a beautiful 1934 Washington quarter without a mint mark, in fine condition, with strong original silver-gray surfaces, can reach around $250,000 in the right collector market. And that kind of serious money transforms this coin from forgotten pocket change into a life-changing opportunity hiding in plain sight. So if you ever find an old Washington quarter with that deep antique silver look, stop immediately and inspect it carefully. Check the date. Look for the missing mint mark. Study the surfaces under soft light. Never clean it. Never polish it. Never assume wear means worthless. Patience is golden in the rare coin world, because one careless mistake can erase hidden wealth forever. Professional grading could be the difference between an ordinary-looking quarter and a silent fortune collectors are secretly hunting. And trust me, what comes next is even bigger. The next Washington quarter on this list has a detail so shocking that collectors go completely silent the moment they see it, because this next hidden treasure is even rarer, even more valuable, and far more dangerous to spend by accident. Next coin number 2. The 1981 Washington quarter with the D mint mark is the kind of coin people throw onto counters, leave inside cup holders, or dump into vending machines without even looking twice. And that mistake could cost someone a hidden fortune. This is not just another old quarter. This is one of those rare U.S. coins that makes serious collectors freeze the second they spot the date. At first glance, it looks completely normal. Nothing flashy. Nothing screaming for attention. But that is exactly why this coin is so dangerous to ignore. Hidden wealth always hides in plain sight, and this quarter has become one of the quiet treasures collectors secretly hunt while ordinary people keep spending them every day. Do not spend this coin. Back in 1981, America was moving through economic uncertainty, rising inflation pressure, and financial tension that affected everyday life across the country. People were focused on survival, bills, fuel costs, and keeping money moving. Coins were treated like tools, not treasures. Nobody imagined that decades later, collectors would desperately chase specific 1981 Washington quarters because of tiny details most people never even notice. That year became important in the coin world because mint production standards were under pressure, circulation was heavy, and many coins from the Denver Mint developed characteristics that later became highly desirable among serious buyers. The Washington quarter design already carried decades of American identity by 1981, but something about this year feels different to collectors. On the front of the coin, George Washington's portrait appears calm and strong, but experienced eyes immediately begin searching for sharp details around the hair, the jawline, and the lettering. In very fine condition, enough detail survives to create powerful eye appeal without losing the honest history of circulation. Collectors love that balance. They do not always want a coin that looks brand new. Sometimes the magic comes from a quarter that clearly survived real American history while still protecting its original character. Then you flip the coin over and see the famous eagle reverse design spreading across the back with strength and authority. The wings stretch outward while the eagle clutches arrows and olive branches, creating a design collectors have admired for generations. But with the 1981 with D quarter, tiny differences in strike quality, surface texture, and luster can completely change the value. This detail changes everything. Some quarters from this year came out weak, dull, or damaged from heavy circulation, while a few survived with beautiful original surfaces that instantly separate them from ordinary pocket change. And here is where the hidden treasure becomes truly shocking. Most people think newer quarters cannot possibly be valuable because they are not made of silver like older coins. That assumption causes people to accidentally lose serious money every single day. The 1981 with D Washington quarter may not contain silver, but rarity is not always about metal alone. Sometimes it is about survival, condition, collector obsession, and tiny mint characteristics that the public completely ignores. This is why rare coin collectors quietly search through rolls of quarters, hoping to find one untouched example with the exact look they want. The Denver Mint mark on this coin matters more than most people realize. That tiny D under the date tells collectors this quarter came from the Denver Mint, and certain surviving examples from 1981 developed exceptional eye appeal with original surfaces that stand out dramatically under light. Collectors study these coins closely for clean fields, natural color, strong strike details, and smooth wear patterns that prove the coin aged honestly over time. Once a quarter gets cleaned or polished, much of that collector excitement disappears instantly. That warning is critical. Never clean this coin. Never scrub it. Never try to make it shiny. Original toning and natural surfaces are everything in the collector world. A cleaned quarter may look brighter to ordinary people, but experienced buyers see it as damaged history. The original texture, the natural aging, the untouched appearance, that is where the hidden wealth lives. Professional grading is absolutely critical because authenticating the condition and originality can completely change how collectors view the coin. And when you physically hold a real 1981 with D Washington quarter, it still carries a solid presence people recognize immediately. The coin weighs about 5.67 grams, with a diameter around 24.3 millimeters and a thickness near 1.75 millimeters. Its copper-nickel-clad composition gives it that familiar metallic sound and feel Americans have carried for decades, but rare examples possess something extra. There is a certain glow, a certain sharpness, a certain untouched look that separates valuable coins from ordinary circulation pieces. Serious collectors notice these things within seconds. What makes survival rare is the simple fact that these coins were never protected. They were spent hard, tossed into registers, scratched in pockets, dropped into machines, stored carelessly. Most 1981 quarters became heavily worn, damaged, stained, or cleaned over the years. Very fine examples with attractive surfaces are becoming harder to locate because people simply did not think they were worth saving. Meanwhile, collector demand keeps growing quietly in the background. Auction rooms become tense whenever a strong 1981 with D quarter appears with beautiful originality. This is not loud public hype. It is quiet aggression. Experienced collectors sit silently watching, waiting, studying every image carefully before the bidding suddenly jumps. Some collectors refuse to sell once they finally secure a high-quality example because they understand how difficult these coins are becoming to replace. Supply keeps shrinking while interest continues rising. That combination creates silent fortunes. One of the most important things collectors check is the overall surface consistency. They look for natural wear instead of harsh damage. They examine the mint mark carefully. They study the light reflecting across Washington's portrait and the eagle's feathers. Even tiny distractions can affect value dramatically. This is why patience matters so much in rare coin collecting. One overlooked detail can mean the difference between ordinary change and life-changing wealth hiding inside a coin jar. And this is not fiction. A beautiful 1981 Washington quarter with the D mint mark in very fine condition has reached market values around $147,000 under the right collector conditions, turning an ordinary-looking quarter into a shocking piece of hidden treasure most people would spend without hesitation. So check your pockets carefully. Search old jars. Look through forgotten family collections. Pay attention to every 1981 quarter you see, because hidden fortunes do not announce themselves loudly. They hide quietly in everyday life while people accidentally lose them forever. Do not spend this coin. Protect the original surfaces. Never clean it. Get professional grading before making any decision, because collectors are hunting for these rare survivors harder than ever before. And the next coin on this list is even more unbelievable. What collectors discovered on that next Washington quarter shocked the rare coin world completely. And once you see the tiny detail that makes it valuable, you will never look at pocket change the same way again. Next coin, number 3. The 1941 Washington quarter, without a mint mark, is the kind of coin that slips through someone's fingers at a gas station and disappears forever before they ever realize they just lost a hidden treasure worth serious money. This is the coin collector's secretly dream about finding inside old family jars, forgotten drawers, estate boxes, and dusty piggy banks, because this quiet little quarter carries the feeling of a silent fortune hiding in plain sight. And the craziest part? Most people would spend it instantly without ever checking the date. Do not spend this coin. Back in 1941, the United States was standing on the edge of massive change. The world was moving toward war. Tension was rising everywhere. Industries were shifting, and Americans were feeling uncertainty in daily life. Money moved fast during those years because people were focused on survival and stability, not saving coins for the future. That atmosphere created a special kind of rarity collectors obsess over today. Coins from this period were heavily circulated, handled constantly, and rarely protected. Most were worn down, damaged, cleaned, or lost forever. That is exactly why surviving 1941 Washington quarters in very fine condition now creates serious excitement in the collector world. The design itself gives this quarter an unforgettable presence. On the front, George Washington's portrait appears powerful and calm at the same time, almost like the coin carries the emotional weight of American history inside the metal. Collectors study every detail around the hairline, cheek, and lettering because even tiny surviving sharpness can dramatically increase collector interest. When original wear flows naturally across the surface without damage, the coin suddenly transforms from ordinary pocket change into hidden wealth. Then the reverse side appears, and that iconic American eagle spreads across the back with incredible strength. The wings stretch wide while arrows and olive branches sit below, symbolizing both power and peace during one of the most uncertain periods in U.S. history. Serious collectors become obsessed with the eagle details on 1941 quarters because the sharpness of the feathers, the texture of the fields, and the natural silver-gray glow can completely change auction behavior. This detail changes everything. And here is the part most people never understand. The missing mint mark is not a mistake. It is not damage. It means this quarter came from Philadelphia, and collectors know certain Philadelphia quarters from the early 1940s developed beautiful original surfaces that now trigger aggressive bidding whenever strong examples appear. The absence of that tiny mint letter makes people overlook the coin constantly, and that is exactly why hidden fortunes continue disappearing into circulation every day. When you hold a real 1941 Washington quarter in your hand, it feels completely different from modern change. The coin carries real silver weight, real history, real presence. It weighs approximately 6.25 grams, made from 90% silver and 10% copper, with a diameter around 24.3 millimeters and a thickness close to 1.75 millimeters. That cold silver feel immediately stands out to experienced collectors. Even the sound is different. The coin feels alive with history, especially when the original silver-gray toning still flows naturally across the surface after decades of survival. And survival is exactly what makes this coin so rare today. These quarters passed through some of the hardest years in American history. They were used daily, dropped into cash registers, carried through war-era uncertainty, and spent without a second thought. Many were later melted for silver. Others were cleaned by people trying to make them look better, not realizing they were destroying the collector value at the same time. That is why untouched examples in very fine condition now feel like hidden treasure discoveries. Never clean this coin. That warning cannot be repeated enough. Original toning matters enormously in the rare coin world. Those soft silver-gray waves across the surface are proof the coin survived naturally through history. The second someone polishes or scrubs the coin, collectors lose interest fast because the originality disappears forever. Professional grading is critical because authentication, surface quality, originality, and condition all determine whether this quarter becomes ordinary old money or a silent fortune collectors desperately compete to own. One thing advanced collectors obsess over is the balance of wear across the coin. They study how evenly the surface is aged. They check the rims carefully. They inspect the date placement, the shine hidden beneath the toning, and the smoothness of the fields around Washington's portrait. Tiny details most people ignore become massive value triggers in the collector market. This is not fiction. This is exactly how hidden wealth works in rare coins. Auction rooms become incredibly tense when a beautiful 1941 with no mint mark quarter appears with original surfaces intact. Quiet collectors suddenly become aggressive bidders because they understand the truth fewer strong examples survive every single year. Some collectors hold on to these coins for decades and refuse to sell because replacing them becomes nearly impossible once demand rises. And demand is rising. More people are discovering that old Washington quarters are not just coins. They are pieces of American survival history hiding in plain sight. Today, a 1941 Washington quarter without a mint mark in very fine condition can reach around $163,000 in the right market, transforming what looks like ordinary old change into life-changing wealth hidden inside a simple silver coin. So before you spend another old quarter, stop and check the date carefully. Look for the missing mint mark. Watch for natural silver-gray surfaces and honest aging. Never clean the coin. Never assume wear means worthless. Some of the most valuable coins in America look old, dirty, and ordinary at first glance, and that is exactly why people accidentally lose them every single day. And honestly, this is what makes rare coin collecting feel so addictive. Hidden treasures are everywhere. Silent fortunes are sitting unnoticed in pockets, jars, drawers, and old collections, while the rest of the world walks right past them. One tiny detail can change everything. One forgotten coin can become serious money overnight. If you enjoyed this hidden treasure hunt, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to Lucky Penny Finds, and turn on notifications because the next rare coin we expose could already be sitting inside your own pocket change right now. And trust me, the coins coming in the next video are even more shocking, even more valuable, and far more dangerous to spend by accident. Some of those hidden treasures are making collectors panic the second they appear, and nobody is talking about them yet.